we're doing some training this week. There's 28 people in the class for crisis intervention team. And what the idea is behind it is anytime someone's in crisis, whether it's a mental health situation or whatever the case may be, we'd like to be able to figure out what the problem is with that person and de-escalate the situation before it evolves into a physical altercation. A couple of things. One, we've had some officers who attended the national training and are trainers now. So they're able to train other officers in our department and officers throughout the state with crisis intervention so that we can hopefully, a lot of times if you have a person who's in crisis, we can plug them into the proper services and we don't end up arresting that person, because it used to be when someone was in crisis and acting out and causing a disturbance or whatever the situation was, we'd always end up arresting that person, and most of the time jail is not a good setting for someone who's having mental health issues. That's the other benefit of this program. If a person's having a mental health issue, these people will be trained to try and ascertain what the problem is and then maybe plug them into the right services in the mental health profession rather than taking them to the county jail, which we do have mental health professionals at the jail, but if we can divert those folks away from the jail, it obviously will cut our expenses because we won't be incarcerating people who are not necessarily criminal.
Right, and I guess the training kind of tries to, what is specifically is the training trying to show these officers?
What they want to do is, number one, they show them what these persons who are in crisis may be experiencing. And they go through a program where they actually are hearing some voices, they're hearing some disturbances that people who have mental health issues may be hearing. And so it's very difficult to react to normal questioning when you're having those voices in your head or you're having a mental health situation. So number one, our people are exposed to what that's like. And number two, it gives them an opportunity to try and see how that person's experiencing things much differently than they would normally. And so hopefully through being able to diagnose some of the issues and de-escalate the person and cooperate with them rather than being seen as an adversary, we can maybe find out if they need additional help with mental health or crisis intervention. One of those situations rather than necessarily taking them to jail because of the situation. It teaches our officers, our detention officers, and our dispatchers how to interact with people who are in crisis. So rather than keep escalating the situation right away, even on the phone with our dispatchers, we can start de-escalating the situation before our officers arrive. And it's safer for our officers and our detention staff if we can keep that person down at that lower level.
Yeah, oh good, very well. And how is the training? So what are they doing this week? What are some of the classes they're doing?
Well, they're doing a lot of education on what mental illness is and the symptoms of various afflictions and mental health issues are. And so they're able to try and diagnose some of those things. We're not doctors and we're not psychologists, but we're able to relate to those folks better, and hopefully instead of having them escalate their behavior, we can de-escalate them and plug them into the right services. Now certainly there's going to be situations where we have to take someone into custody either for their own good or because they're dangerous, and we try to minimize those situations where we actually have to use physical force. So that's the whole idea. If we can divert someone who's having a mental illness from being arrested, and then if we can talk this person, even if we do have to arrest the person, we can talk them into calmly going to jail rather than having to go hands-on and actually have a physical altercation with that person.
Right, that's a good point. And Fridays, what is all this? These classes, what you're going to eventually do some sort of active training?
Yeah, they're going to train and practice some of the verbal skills Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, they're going to actually have some hands-on scenarios where they are confronted with an actor who is acting out some symptoms of mental illness, and it's their job to try and de-escalate the situation and talk this person into getting help or take this person into custody without having to actually force that person. So it's the first 4 days are kind of a theory classwork type stuff, and then the final day is an opportunity to put the skills they've learned to use in an actual scenario.